Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Carl's Conversations. Our motto is a safe place to have difficult conversations. We didn't make an announcement like we normally do because we were putting this thing together behind the scenes. And so we're going to try to give everybody a few moments to catch on. We have an audience that's going to be joining us from the 757. And so our two guests here tonight going to try to get that information out to their people. My number one fan, y'all, that's my wife. She's always the first one on and the first one to compliment. That's Tisha. And she was on the call last night as well. She was very impressed. I think she is just as excited as I am to have you guys on to talk about the great things that you're doing down there in Newport News. And so just make sure that your people know that they can catch this a live stream on my YouTube channel, Carl's Conversations, spelled just like I have it here. If you break it up into two words, you will go to a Carl's Conversations, but it won't be mine. Or they can go. I'm also streaming this to two Facebook pages: my personal Facebook page, Carl Armstrong, and the Carl's Conversations Facebook page. Both of those feeds are getting it, and I'm gonna check that while we sit here talking. Gentlemen, I am so thankful that you're here today. You could have been a lot of other places, but you decided to spend a few minutes with me, and I am really, really, really appreciative that you have. Thank you so much. So for my audience, I want you to know I have here with us tonight Mr. Tracy Parker and Mr. David Wilson. These men are tremendous men in the community down in the Newport News area. Am I correct? Both of you kind of working on Newport News. I didn't know either of these men until probably about less than 12 hours ago. I was invited to get onto a Zoom call. There is a group of people serving the community down in Newport News, Virginia. Of course, there's been gun violence there, like it's been gun violence in a lot of our Black communities. And what trips me out is sometimes people outside of our communities, they think they got all the solutions and they think that they know what's going on, but they don't. And I'm not saying that to be brash or to pick a fight. I'm speaking facts. They don't know. And when you don't know, you ought to behave like you don't know. But tonight, after the conclusion of this conversation, you will have a better understanding of what some Black communities are doing to help. And I mean, help is coming from the inside. It's real help. These two men have a tremendous insight on the type of help that is needed at the ground level. And in a few seconds, I'm going to get out of the way and let them roll. But I was so amazed last night that for a minute, I had to tell myself, well, you were invited as a panelist. You have to say something. I was caught up just listening. We're doing some similar things up here in Northern Virginia, but I want to put the spotlight on the 757 this evening and let people know the tremendous work that's going on. And another thing I want to do, I'm sure this will be seen in communities all over the USA. And there are some communities who have some of the same struggles, but may not know how to get started, how to galvanize and organize and get something started. But when Mr. Parker and Mr. Wilson finish talking tonight, you can have a better understanding. So we'll start with you, Mr. Parker. I want you to tell the audience a little bit about yourself. And after he finishes, Mr. Wilson, we'll come back to you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, man. I definitely appreciate you allowing me to be on. My name is Tracy Parker. I'm the co-founder of the Friendship Lottery with my daughter, Noelle Parker. I have an amazing team. We started with the Friendship Lottery, saying basically to be a blessing to so many. We created this thing called the Friendship Lottery drawing, where people donate like $10 or you can donate a little bit more. And what we do is like with the Friendship Lottery, 100% comes in, go out. We don't keep a dime. I believe that when you create a blessing, you give a blessing. And my hope is to always be able to be a blessing. And so what we do is every first Sunday of the month, we draw names. Everybody's name go into a basket or whatever, and those blessings go back out. And we do it at the first of the month because we do understand that people have bills and everything, and it can set people up for the rest of the month if that blessing come to you at the beginning of the month. Right there, that gave us an opportunity to create a platform where we'll be able to attack so many different social issues within our community, village, period. And so it gave us an opportunity to create, become an advocate for domestic violence. That's how I lost my mom. That's one of the main reasons why I do what I do. It's not the only reason, but it's one of the main reasons that got me started. We also been able to be an advocate for autism, and now we are working on our community as far as all the gun violence and everything. And me and David, that's my brother right there. We've been going at it real hard lately. Um, just my background, I'm here. I was born and raised in Newport News. Lived in Walker Village, seen a lot, and fought my way out of it. Not saying fight my way out of like it's a horrible place, because it used to be an amazing place. The whole Jefferson Avenue, Washington Avenue, like we talked about last night, it was an amazing and beautiful place at one time. Thriving black-owned businesses, man, a place that you can truly be proud of. And what we're doing, we're working to fight. We're fighting to work, and we're working to fight. And what I mean by that is that we're going to get all of that back. We're going to have our own Black Wall Street here, and that's what we do. Um, like I said, me myself, I like to stay 100% transparent. Um, you don't got to sit up here and ask somebody about me. Everything I say is me. Um, like we talked last night, like I told Day, I said, dude, I'm not scared of too many things in my life. So when you're ready to go out there and talk to the people that need to be talked to, instead of just no offense to anybody up here, keep conversating between each other. You know what I'm saying? We do got to go out there and talk to the people that really need it, that's going through that trauma. Because right now, I made it out of that situation, but there's a lot of people who haven't. And I wouldn't be a man if I didn't go back and try to pull them with me, or at least help them get where they're supposed to be. And that's really what the friendship lottery embodies.
Well, thank you, Mr. Parker. We appreciate that. Mr. David Wilson, please tell the audience something about yourself. He need to be applauded, don't he?
Hey man, hey look, every time Brother Tracy tell his story, man, a little bit about himself, I want to give him a standing ovation, man. You know what I mean? Because, he say things and he says it, in a way that it's just him speaking it, and it just flows past. But when you hear somebody say they lost their mom, and you think about the relationship and how much your mother means to you, to lose your mother is like a very, I'm telling you, like that could tear a man down. And the fact that it actually made him stronger, it says a lot about his character. And that's why I always want to give him a standing ovation, and applaud him for the work that he does, and the many things that the Friendship Lottery does, the many lives that they touch. Like you said, my name is David Wilson. I started an organization called Us for Us. The reason I started that organization was because I was raised in a conservative household. My grandmother was a conservative, my family conservatives, mother, father, aunts, uncles, everybody was conservatives. And I kind of always hid my conservatism because being a black conservative ain't always the best thing to be. You know what I mean? People don't really like black conservatives. They have this they've been taught that if you're black and you're a conservative, that you gotta either be a coon or a sellout. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I ran away from it for a long time, and running away from it, I ran to the streets. And I guess I became the hardest of the hardest, trying to prove that I was everything other than what I really was. I started gang banging at an early age, which ended up landing me in prison. I served a total of 19 years total in prison. I was shot people, and just did a lot. And I had made a name for myself in the streets. So while I was incarcerated, I'm not gonna, give that cliche speech about, prison gave me the eye opening, the wake up call, because I didn't want to be in prison anymore. So I just decided to become good. Prison did not, it did not rehabilitate me, because like I always tell people, they always speak about prison and they speak about rehabilitation. But when you say words like rehabilitation, the thing we got to understand first is what was rehabilitated about it in the first place. You know what I mean? For you to try to rehabilitate it. So I don't like to use that word. Prison didn't rehabilitate me. what rehabilitated me or habilitated me in the first place was my love for books and my love for reading. I started reading. The first book I ever read in prison was the autobiography of Malcolm X. And, I think that's like one of the first books that many young black men read because we identify with Malcolm X. One, because we're in prison. Two, because we're outspoken. Three, because we're fearless. So we always read Malcolm X first. And, when you read the autobiography of Malcolm X, one thing about the autobiography of Malcolm X is after reading it, it actually gives you a list of other books you can go read as well. So, I read that. And I went and read a whole lot of other books on that list. And I continued to build and continue to grow and continue to read until I became known as the walking encyclopedia in prison. I was released from prison in 2015. And when I got released from prison, I kind of sat back and tried to get a feel for what was going on in the community. I already knew what I could do, what I had in my brain, and what I was going to do regardless of who else was doing it. I just needed to sit back and really try to understand the climate and understand who was out here doing what, because my grandmother, in all her wisdom, she always told me that you never reinvent a wheel. Somebody has a wheel going, either you join in with their fight or you do something totally different that can add on to the fight. So you never want to reinvent a wheel. So I sat back and paid attention to what was going on. I saw the Mr. Tracy Parker's out here. I saw the, Latanya Abyss Wallace is out here. I saw the Uganda Sample Jones. I started attending events. And when I started attending, one of the events I attended was a panel discussion that was held by a white organization called Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. And I was sitting there and I was listening. I was looking at the panel and they were up there talking about, the problems in my community. But the more I sat there and watched, I started noticing that wasn't nobody on the panel from my community. So I, started asking myself, why don't you have the community here? The people that we're talking about, I know a lot of them and they would gladly come. So I left that panel, and that day forward, I got in my head, I said, you know what, I'm gonna do this differently. I started hosting teen panels where I started bringing the teens out there that got the guns on the corners and the girls out there that's, messing with them. And I started bringing the mothers of gunshot victims and, the people that are in the community really in the midst of this stuff. I started bringing them to the table and I started telling all the elected officials, okay, y'all gonna listen and they gonna talk. So I set them in the audience and I put the community at the front of the room. We hosted about 3 different teen panels. Each one of them was successful. They'll never give me the credit for it, but they started treating trauma in Nupanu City schools based off of my first teen panel because of something that was said about a girl who was expelled, but they didn't know that she was being raped, had been shot 2 times, and that the anger that she was displaying in school, in Nupanu City schools, was coming from the trauma she was dealing with at home, and she just didn't have a way to, try to get the attention that she needed. And so after that first teen panel, they initiated and created programs in Nupanu City schools to where they now treat kids for trauma without suspending them or expelling them right off the top. We saw after my 3 teen panels, we were continuing to do panels, and I started going to city council and just started trying to give them a different outlook on what was really going in the community, because I felt like there was a disconnect, and I felt like in my new walk of life that I was becoming that bridge to connect those in those seats with the people that are in the community every day. So that's what I've been doing. I've been that voice for the people.
And it is obvious. Yeah, you need a round of applause too. Hey, gentlemen, we were on that Zoom call last night for about 2.5 hours.
Right.
And I have never been on the Zoom call that long, but I'm gonna tell you something. I loved every minute of it because so much came forth, and I'm glad that you guys didn't try to snub it. Some people, they get on the time frame and just curtail. Had you done that last night, what needed to come out would not have come out. Of all the things that were said, there were a couple of things that really, really stuck to me. And those are 2 of the things I really want to bring out tonight. One thing that stuck with me was something that you said, Mr. Wilson, and that was, I can't remember exactly how you said it, but you were saying that the help and the communication need to go to the fellas and the young ladies in the streets, right? You
Right.
have to take the help to where it's needed, and you got to go down there and engage them and to hear what they have to say, make relationships with them so that you can really understand what's going on. Did I properly communicate what you were saying last night? Now I'm
Yes,
gonna let
sir.
you say it the way you, because I can't nobody say it like you said. I'm gonna give you the mic in a minute.
All
And there
right.
was another thing that I heard last night that really stuck with me, and that was unresolved trauma. Because this thing started with talking about the gun violence in our communities, right? And
Right.
so why is it happening, and why does it continue to happen? And man, there's a lot of reasons. But talking about the unresolved trauma, which is the last thing you were just talking about, Mr. Wilson, and then maybe there is a gap between what the young men and young women on the street who are perpetuating this type of gun violence. Maybe there's a gap in the communication between, for lack of better words, the OGs or the mature people in the community. And if Mr. Wilson let his beard grow, it'll be great like me and yours, Mr. Parker. You ain't all
Yeah.
that young.
Yeah. No, no. I'm actually 40 years old. I'm 40 years old. You know what
There
I
you
mean?
go.
40 years young. You're right, and you said it the way I said it. Because it's important. And what brought me to that understanding was that we just had an election here in Newport News, not this presidential election, but a local election that took place in March. And we actually had a city council member named Tina Vick, and as she was going from poll to poll, doing her own election for the community that she's supposed to represent, she actually had security with her. And seeing security with a city council member, it didn't sit right with me because it made me feel like, one, you're scared of the own community that you say that you represent. I feel like that's where the love should come from. If you're doing the right things in office, the people that you are out there representing should love you and should love to want to see you and should be able to come talk to you when they see you out. So when I saw her with security, I started thinking, to myself, I said, you know what? A lot of these elected officials are actually scared to go into the communities that they supposed to represent. They scared to go down there. You know what I mean? Like, I started wondering how many of them ever even been downtown Newport News. You know what I'm saying? Which is, I know you're not from here, Mr. Armstrong, but downtown Newport News is like what they call the bad.
Oh, I know. I'm from
Oh,
Chesapeake.
okay, cool.
I know about
So
bad news.
yeah, so it's like, how many of y'all have actually even been down here? You know what I'm saying? Because as my organization started growing, it's so easy for you to go downtown and ask a kid who is David Wilson, and they know who David Wilson is, but you ask that same kid who is the mayor of Newport News. They have no idea. You know what I'm saying? They don't have no idea at all, but they know David Wilson, so they don't know the mayor of Newport News. So what I started realizing was that there's no communication. So that means if you in office and you creating laws or you creating, you know what I'm saying, plans for the city and the community to stop something, you're doing that in a way that you don't even have knowledge of the people that you are affecting. You don't even know what they actually want. You don't know what's beneficial down here. There's a store on 33rd and Roanoke that I say it has about 80 people standing out in front of that store at any given time. Ain't I'm Tracy, man?
Learn about that.
It's about
Man.
80 of them. It's be about 80 young people down there that look like you and I. Now they look like they thugs, they look like they gangsters. So the average person to be scared to go down there. Me, I go down there, I pull up, I park, I get out the car, and it's, yo, David, hey man, go tell them people this, go tell them people that, go tell them people this. And I always tell them, come with me and tell them. You come with me and tell them.
Right.
Because they scared to come down here. You come with me and tell them. And they come with me to city council meetings now. I start bringing them hood dudes there. They come in there with their baggy jeans and Timberlands and they gold chains on and they talk now because they know we're not being heard. So my whole thing and the message that I try to give is that the people at the bottom are the ones we need to start putting closer to the people at the top, because that's how you keep the balance. Because right now we don't have a balance at all. We don't have a balance at all. And we need to figure out a way to restore that balance. That balance, because if you're not listening to these people with the guns doing the shooting, then you can't help them. You know what I mean? How can you, if I'm on the street corner with a gun and I'm out here ready to shoot somebody I'm beefing with, and you don't know me, how are you in office knowing what I need to help me stop? It just didn't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
You
became the bridge.
The bridge.
And
That's
you became the change that you wanted to see.
Exactly. Like Tracy said, you got to become the change you want to see. That's, I wanted to see change, and I felt, my way of doing it. And I knew I would be judged and stuff like that because it happened overnight. I went from one day to having my fitted caps on and my white tees and my chain to now I be wearing suits and stuff like this. So when I go back to the hood, they be like, "Oh, look at David, man. David out here with the suit on, bro. Come on, man." And, they still love me the same way, though. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't feel like I would ever need security to go to the community, because they know for a fact at the end of the day that even if they disagree with me, I'm going to say some true stuff that need to be said. So,
there it is.
That's how I look at it.
Mr. Parker, it sounds like what you're doing with the friendship lottery is very similar to what Mr. Wilson is doing.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, we all have the same common goal. Sometimes we just take different paths to get to that same goal. But the key point to it is being very transparent. And like David said, it's like giving a child a birthday party and not asking them what they want to do as their thing for their birthday, and then just tell them to enjoy it. You can't do that. You can't do that. You got to try to understand what that child wants. And so that's relative to what we're talking about in our community. You can't tell me what I'm into and tell me what to enjoy if you never even came and talked to me. And if I chose to do that and said I'm gonna do this for the community and never talk to the community, how is it for the community? You know what I mean? And
Right.
To me, it's sad when you have so many politicians that want to throw a cookout every year. See, everybody want to go to Bobby Scott's cookout every year. You know what I'm saying? And as a person, I don't know him personally, so I don't know. I'm not gonna say he's a horrible person or anything. I'm not gonna do that. But it's not about whether he's a horrible person. It's about, is the change that he created in our community going to affect us in our community? Or is it another agenda that's going on that we don't know? But when you throw a cookout and 500 people come to your cookout, right? But when election time comes, only 1,100 people vote in a city where it's 50,000 people. You know what I mean? So you giving people what they want to see, but you're not giving them what they need. And what they need is to be heard so you can really treat it. And when you was talking about the trauma, you're right. You know what I'm saying? Like last night I heard a statement said, hurt people can help heal people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot of hurt people all around, not even just in Newport News and Hampton and Chesapeake and the 757 area. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of hurt people that can bring their story and take it to somewhere else, take it to the people who need and hear it, that are making the laws or whatever, and create that change. You know what I'm saying? Especially like in our school systems. And me, I'm sorry, man, but like I said, I like to keep it real. Just like our CPS system, you know what I'm saying, Child Protective Services. It's horrible to me. It's horrible to me. You say one day, and it's no different than having a teacher when that can't relate to a child. You bring a teacher from a whole nother state, you know what I'm saying, that never heard anything about Newport News, don't even know anything about you, David, and you're 10 years old and you having it hard at home. So when you bring her in to teach or bring him in to teach, he can't relate to you. So only thing he can see is a problem.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's the same thing with the Child Protective Services. And it's horrible because you got a lot of kids. You're waiting until something happened to the kid that you can't change instead of going to get those kids. Now, if the kid maybe fabricated a little bit, I'd rather for you to take that child out of that home and find out and then place them back than to leave that child there. You know what I mean? And then the end result is death.
Right.
Or he's affecting or she's affecting somebody else. You know what I mean? But the problem is, to me, you started something that had a true meaning, Child Protective Services. And then you let the politics get in. So before I come in, just take this child out of this house and I see it look horrible or whatever, I'm more worried about a lawsuit from that person than I am about that child. And then a hurt child grew up to be a hurt adult. And if it's untreated as a child, it's definitely is going to transfer over into life as an adult. And then that's why we have so many people in our system, a system that wasn't even really truly designed for us. But we can't change that system until we are heard. And we got to sit up here and stop being silent and stop being nice. You know what I'm saying? Like we said last night, sometimes you got to piss some people off to get some change.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not a personal shot at you, but I'm telling you, hey, if you're walking down the street, you see somebody smile, you're going to look at them, you're going to walk right past them. But when you see somebody pissed off, you're going to be watching that person that pissed off. So I'm pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not just pissed off for me because I'm about to have a grandchild. I got a ninth grader in high school. You know what I'm saying? I got a son in college, and I got a 21-year-old. And every day that they go out that house, you know what I'm saying? It's hard for me to sleep until they come back in this house. But am I worried about the people on the street, or am I worried about an encounter with the police? You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard, but I can't sleep. But I can't sit up here and keep you in the box also. So
Right.
my best thing I can do is go out there and try to create that change, the change that I want to see.
I'm gonna tell you something last night that I heard too. I didn't speak on it, but I listen all the time, and this is very impressive about the group. I didn't hear anything about partisan politics. I'm sure everybody has their own political views, and I'm with it. I got my own. I purposely don't do a lot of talking about it in public because people make a judgment on you once you throw that out there. But what I do like about what y'all said is that no matter who is in office, you're going to hold them accountable. And you hold them accountable, number one, with the vote, right? You got to register. You got to go vote. Number two, you just talked about it. You take those young men and women down to the city council meeting. My man here, Mr. Parker, was just talking about holding CPS accountable. So I said this last night, we got to do a little in-reach and outreach. We got to deal with the mess that's in the community from the inside. But we also got to hold law enforcement on the outside accountable. Yeah, we having a problem in here, but y'all don't need to come in here and make the problem worse and cause another problem. And I think sometimes people have a very difficult time hearing, hey, listen, we do respect law enforcement, but we don't respect law enforcement to come down here and mistreat us. And I don't understand why you can't be both, right? It's not all in one. But I was very impressed with that part. And I want you guys just to speak to that for a minute, because some people watching need to understand this. There are people watching who don't look like us. Right. And this is a time for them to kind of look inside and see what's really going on down there. Mr. Wilson, I'll start with you.
All right. I mean, when it comes to things like the police, the police in our community, I mean, I'm for small government. That's my whole thing about politics. I'm for small government. Like I said, when I started, my organization is called Us for Us. So I believe in self-sufficiency. I believe in economic independence. I believe that there was a period after slavery that people don't talk about a lot. Right after slavery was over, there was this period called Reconstruction. Black people became almost so financially powerful. They created things like Black Wall Street. You had Madam C.J. Walker. You had Black people who were very, very, intelligent, being educated in only Black schools because they wasn't integrated yet. So they were just in Black schools. They were just, they were more educated. We had mother, father in the same household. We had these things, and they were going great and they were going well in our own community. The problems didn't happen until the government started trying to fix every damn thing. You feel what I'm saying? Once the government put themselves in stuff, it was like, hey, hold on, let us fix this for you. Let us fix that for you. Let us fix this for you. This ain't right. That's when we started having our problems. Okay. Now, I believe that in the Black community, when it comes to the crime in the Black community, I believe that we don't need to go outside of the Black community to handle the crimes in the Black community. When somebody is out there, when two gangs or two groups of kids out there beefing with each other, why don't we pull the parents? Why don't we pull those parents together? Get your kids. You know what I'm saying? Get your kids. Them your kids. You know what I'm saying? Get your kids. You know what I mean? But we ain't got to call the police into our community because a lot of these police officers don't come from our communities. Okay? Now, why are we calling outsiders into our communities to fix problems that they don't know nothing about? You know, I was telling Chief Drew, who is the chief of police down here in Newport News, I was telling him one time, and one of his officers was telling me, he was like, David, it's not that we want to come down there with the intentions of trying to harm or shoot any black person or something like that. He was like, yo, you got to understand, we scared, and we want to go home to our families. I said, true, I understand that. Let me tell you something else. This kid that you just pulled over, he's scared too. Because all he see on the news is that police might shoot him. Okay, so you got two scared people in a situation. One of y'all highly trained, and the other one is who they expecting to act highly trained. It can't work like that, okay?
Right.
Because I'm not highly trained like you. So when you pull me over, yes, sir, I'm a little frantic and I'm a little scared and I might move a little fast and I might talk a little fast. And your training might tell you that means I'm up to something or reaching for something, but I'm really not. I'm just trying to communicate to you in a fast way that, look, sir, I want to make it home to my kids too. So what? And I say all of that to say this. We need people who understand the community that they're trying to police, protect, be a part of, and representing, policing, and, you know what I mean, doing those things for the community.
Right.
Regardless of what aspect it is, when it comes to government, when it comes to police, when it comes to community leaders, you can't be those things if you don't have a knowledge or understanding of the community that you're trying to represent. See, we like to judge politics and politicians, and we like to judge people based off of what they look like, as opposed to what they actually do. You know what I'm saying? And the minute when we start holding black politicians to the same standards that we holding the white ones, you know what I'm saying? Then we'll start seeing a whole lot of differences, okay? Because like Mr. Parker just said, we got Bobby Scott, who throws a cookout every single year. Now, he's been in office for 3 decades, over 30 years. He's been in office for over 30 years. Now, working as a congressman for over 30 years, he's only passed 3 bills. Not even passed. He only submitted 3 bills. What have you been doing for 30 years? But we vote for him because he looks like us. We vote for him because his name holds weight. We vote for him because we feel like our grandmothers told us that we need to support him because his past and his history was doing great things. Okay, sir, you're out of touch right now. No offense to anybody older than me, but sometimes when you get a little too old, you lose touch with what's going on in these streets. You know, I'm getting up there myself, and I'm only 40 because I know and understand that the streets change at such a rapid pace that it's actually younger and younger and younger people who are doing the killing and the shooting and stuff. So I can't relate to a 13, 12-year-old, right? The same way some 60-year-old man can't relate to me, and I'm only 39. Right. So how can you represent me and these 12 and 13-year-olds when you don't know nothing about how they think, what they're going through, what they're dealing with? If you handed Bobby Scott a phone and told him, yo, log into Instagram and make a post, he probably couldn't even do it. Because you know what I'm saying? You're older, because we know that our elders aren't that tech savvy. You feel what I'm saying? Right. So when it comes to all of those issues, policing, politicians, and community leaders, I just feel that we need to judge the people by how in touch they are with that community. And that's the only way to solve any one of those issues, you know?
I appreciate that. All right, Mr. Parker, how do you feel about that? Like the point I was making was last night on that call, we talked about politics and politicians for a portion of it, but I didn't hear any partisan talk. And I was really impressed by that. But what we did talk about was holding the politicians and those policymakers and those people in charge. We talked about holding them accountable. Where do you stand with that?
Well, you know, like I said, like David said last night, you got to understand your party that you represent, and if you don't understand it, you tend to follow who your parents followed or close family members or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I think that on both sides, they make a lot of good points. On the Republican side, on the Democratic side, if we want to say, and even the independent side. I think, like I said, like David said, I still believe that in politics, and we start talking about policing, and we start talking about into your schools, your educational system, you got to have more people to represent the people that sit in front of you. You know what I mean? And I think that's a big problem. We're not going to get anywhere, man. We don't have anybody representing us. But we also got to understand that sometimes you got to do it yourself. So if you want to be that change, you want to see something different, get into it. You know, somebody might say, I'm not a politician. You can be, because your politicians are only supposed to be there to represent you. So if they want to represent everything that you embody and everything that you're about, then guess what? You can do that same job too. You know, I don't meet myself. I don't like playing the victim. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I don't like playing the victim. I really don't truly like point a finger at people, but I will point it at the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like David said, I don't have a problem with Bobby Scott. I have a problem with seeing the same things and I'm 45, been seeing the same things since I was a baby, and I can recognize and remember. I don't have a problem with Tina Vick as a person, you know what I'm saying? Because me and her travel in the same circle, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you were elected. Were you elected because of your popularity, or were you elected because that everybody believed that you're gonna make change that represent us? And so far, I haven't seen that change from anybody. You know what I mean? And the end result is not those ones that we elected going to be suffering, because they're getting their check. They driving their Benzes. They going to eat 5-course lunches, and we worrying about having some bread with our hamburger and bread with our chicken and stuff like that, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, but they don't have that. They don't have that same issue. They don't have that same problem. You know, and like David said a little before, tell me why a politician haven't been down there. You know, when they go down there, it was
Election
a voting
time.
precinct. It was a voting precinct down there, and they needed that vote. That's when you will see them. You know what I'm saying? And that's not just Democrats, it's not just Republicans. That's all of them in office. You know what I'm saying? I think I would be cool if you abolish the whole system and stop calling out Democrats and Republicans. You know what I'm saying?
Don't make me preach. Don't make me preach.
I'll be good with that. You know what I'm saying? Because all I see is people patting their pockets and patting their agendas, doing favors for others or whatever. Well, do me a favor, help my community out. But because I can't add $2 million to your campaign, you're not gonna do me a favor because I can't owe you. But you'll take somebody who not even from our area, get their money and owe them a favor, instead of saying, you know what, I'm gonna take this community right here, I'm gonna rebuild and invest in this, like Aqua Vista and everything. You know what I'm saying? I let it go to hell, so you can come in and redevelop it and kick everybody out that look like us, right? You can redevelop it, kick everybody out that look like us, and bring all the people in. And then where are we? You know what I'm saying? Huh?
I said, yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Gentrification downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah. And doing it right in front of your face. You know, I'm gonna tell you something. What you guys are talking about, I don't know if you really understand how amazing it is. That's why last night when we were on the thing, I started putting in the chat. I need to talk to y'all tomorrow night. I want to talk about this while it's hot, and I'm gonna tell you why. Somebody said this last night, and I don't know who it was. Change is here.
Right.
No, it's not change is coming. I know they sang the song back in the day, a change gonna come. Change is here. And we have a saying, and a man, Gary Holland, is on. We have a saying up here, and I said it last night on the panel. We let our local politicians know we're either going to change your mind or we're going to change your seat.
Your seat. Yep. No
problem. You don't want to hear us? No problem. You can hear us on election day.
Right.
And so I love what you guys are doing, and I want you to know how important it is what you're doing, making them accountable. Here's what I want to know. And I'll start with you, Mr. Wilson. What noticeable changes do you see with the young folks who are on the street, the ones who we really trying to galvanize and get out of the shoot 'em up, bang, bang? Since you guys like you, I know there's other organizations too, since you have gotten involved and made them part of the political process and the civic process, what noticeable changes are you seeing?
Hey, somebody else asked me that and they was not happy with my answer. But like I said, I'm not a person that's out here trying to make everybody happy. I'm a person that's gonna tell the truth. I'm in them streets every day, and I'm a Republican. Um, and the thing that a lot of older black people are not gonna like about, you know what I mean, what's going on right now is a lot of these young black people, we Republicans, we conservatives, we do not like Biden, we do not like Kamala Harris, we do not like Democratic policies. We feel like our mothers and fathers have been voting Democratic for the last 50 years and nothing has gotten better. And so I really feel like what's gonna be the shocker is when people start finding out exactly how many of these cats on these street corners actually like Trump, for one. You know what I mean? Actually like Donald Trump, actually want to vote conservative, and are actually more smarter than we give them credit for being. I think that's going to be a shocker, and I think people are going to be, you know what I mean, real shocked for that, because a lot of people don't like to talk about their politics. But down here in the community, we've been talking about it. Like, we out there every day talking about it. I'm down there, you know, and I like to spark the conversation at the corner store about politics. And when we start thinking about the problems that we had growing up, you know, because a lot of these guys are my friends, we start thinking about things like mass incarceration. We start thinking about how the welfare system has, you know, broken our families up. We start thinking about, you know what I mean, what exactly is keeping our black people in these ghetto communities in poverty. And when we start thinking about all these things, we start putting names on them. We start putting names on. We start thinking about redlining. We start talking about redlining. We start talking about the welfare state. And when we start talking about mass incarceration, and when we start talking about all these things, we find out who created each one of these policies. And it was Democrats who created redlining, Democrats who created the welfare state, and it was Democrats who created mass incarceration. So we know that our mothers and fathers and grandmothers don't like Donald Trump, but we are going in there and voting for him. And we know that's going to make them upset. But we don't want mass incarceration back down here no more, because we the ones that get affected with it. Um, you know, when I was on Facebook one day, we was up there, we was talking about Black Lives Matter, and we was also talking about other things that affect the black community. I made a post on Facebook, and I made it because I wanted the shock value to really impact and make somebody come at me in a way that would be emotional. I wanted them to come say something way out of the way. So I said, the one thing black men are scared to do, talk about black women. I said on my post, I said, black women are responsible for the destruction of more black men than police have killed in the last 5 years. They hated that post. Mm-hmm. They hated that post. They still commenting on that post from yesterday to this day right now. Because in their mind, what I said was, all black women just out here destroying black men and they're the only ones destroying us. But that's not what I said. What I said was, black women have destroyed more black men than the police have killed in the last 5 years. And they do it in so many ways, because when I go to the black community downtown Newport News, and I point to any one of them brothers in front of that store, and I say, yo, what's causing the most trouble in your life right now? Man, my petty baby mama got me on child support. Or, man, my baby mama called the police on me and got me locked up because I was trying to see my son. Or this girl I was dealing with called the police on me because the yada, 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 yada. And we never, and the black woman is the only person on earth who has never been forced to be examined in the destruction of the black family household. You know, by getting involved with feminism, by getting involved with the welfare system that keeps black men out of the family, and by receiving these things, they contributed to what was called the Willie Lynchism. The Willie Lynchism told our community that if you take the black man and you reduce him to nothing, and you take the black woman and you lift her up, she'll get to a point where she won't need him anymore. And what do we have happen? We had songs like "I'm an Independent Woman" coming out. They didn't need men no more. We had women on Facebook right now, they so quick to call a black man a bum because he don't have housing, or he don't have a car, or he don't have a house, or he don't have, you know, adequate living situation correct. But all of the living situations that they have are being given to them by the government to keep them in a higher position over the black man. And they just accept these things and help the white man put their foot on the black man. So I like to talk about things that are the shock value. I ain't gonna get into it too much, but I like to talk about the real topics that don't nobody else want to talk about, because Those are the only ways we're gonna be able to come to the table and have real conversations to develop real things. And I think the shocker is gonna be when Donald Trump wins this election again, and our civil rights leaders and our Black Democrat leaders, they're gonna be forced to sit back and say, okay, why did he win? And they're gonna be forced to understand, and he won because we are out of touch. These Democratic leaders and Black leaders from the civil rights movement, they're out of touch right now with what's going on right now. It's not the 60s anymore. It's not the 70s anymore. There's a whole new wave out there of people who are not being heard, and they like being outspoken. They like saying things that's gonna hurt your feelings. They like to say the true stuff. And you know who the only person that's doing that right now? Donald Trump. He the only one saying stuff that he ain't scared of who gonna think about it. We like stuff like that. We watch reality TV shows all day. We like the drama. We like somebody that's gonna say what everybody else scared to say. Say it. Because I'd rather have you be real and racist. I'd rather you let me know you a racist up front than hide your racism behind my back. I'd rather a KKK member coming to me with his mask up than come to me with it down. And that's how we look at Republicans and Democrats. Yeah, they racist too, but they got their masks up and they ain't scared to say it. Y'all racist too, but y'all putting these policies in our community that's destroying us, but trying to act like y'all are our friends. That's not cool to us. You know what I'm saying?
I got you. Hey, I want to tell the audience, listen, I'm sure some of you feel a certain kind of way about what Mr. Wilson said. So listen, if you have a question, if you have a comment, I want you to say it. Mr. Wilson, I can absolutely appreciate where you come from. And I'll tell you, I have been in all the camps when it comes to political ideologies. And that's one of the reasons why I'm in the not that I'm an independent per se,
right? But
my view is I refuse to belong to one of the parties. I can't drink the Kool-Aid. I just can't, because I already drunk it. And all of it soured my stomach.
Right.
And so, okay. but I love to entertain the debate.
Yeah.
The debate is healthy. And the fact that you have gotten these young men and young women involved in the process that make their own mind up. Your job is to present the facts as you know it.
Right.
And then they'll make their minds up. But some involvement is better than no involvement. All right there, Mr. Friendship Lottery, Mr. Parker, you've been silent. We got to hear from you, brother.
Well, like you said, man, you know, me and David, we've grown as not just friends, we're brothers. And one thing I love that, you know, you can agree and you can disagree, but like we said before we went live, we still love each other. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? What's the problem? The problem comes when just because we disagree, at that point, we don't want to deal with each other. You want to talk to each other. We don't want to love on each other. And then as soon as something happened to him, we are happy. But if something happened to him or something happened to me, it's still something that's going to affect our community. Right. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a Trump fan. You know what I'm saying? I'm really not. And like Dave said, I'm not a Trump fan. You know what I'm saying? But I do agree with knowing who you're dealing with versus wearing your hood up and wearing your hood down. I definitely agree with that point. I agree with a lot of stuff that he was saying. And I can see and understand a lot of stuff that he was saying. I just can't get with Trump. You know what I'm saying? That's just my personal belief. That's my personal opinion. I'm not a fan of his. I'm not a fan of just making everybody to blame. I'm not a fan of I love people being real. You know what I'm saying? Speak your truth, man. Because that's your truth. You can't judge me off of my truth. You can't stop me from my truth. And like I said, I am pro-black, but what's wrong with being pro-black? But I'm pro everything. You know what I'm saying? Just because I say I'm pro-black, that don't mean I'm anti-white. I'm anti-anything. You know what I'm saying? I love everybody. And I just can't get down with some of the stuff that he do, some of his antics. How he don't respect women at times. I don't care what color you are. You're a woman. You respect her. That's how I was raised, and that's how I'm gonna look at it. I'm not gonna say that I've been perfect all my life, I'm not gonna say at one point in my life that I wasn't a womanizer. You know what I'm saying? But what I am telling you is that I have a daughter now, and every time something happens in your life, they make you change your views and change the way that you carry yourself. You know what I'm saying? I'm waiting for that to happen to Trump. You know what I mean? I'm waiting for something to happen where he can change some of his views and how he carry himself and understand like Dave is a Republican, I'm a Democrat, but we can agree to disagree, and I can listen to everything that he said and get a true understanding, and vice versa. I don't feel like that's what he does. But when you start talking about the local government, you know what I'm saying? That's a whole different ball game, because those are the laws that affect us right now. And when you start talking about policing, those are the ones that's in our area that we're afraid of. Then they're afraid of us and we're afraid of them. But like we said last night, you know, if you can stand by and watch your coworker kill this unarmed man and do nothing, and then help him with that false police report, but say you're a good cop because you wasn't the one that killed him, sir, you fit the description. The same thing that you've been telling us. The same thing you've been telling us, hey man, you fit the description of such and such. This is what happened. I'm sorry, Mr. Police Officer. You fit the description. And until you jump on the side of change, you can always fit that description. You know what I mean?
Let me tell you something. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
No, you good. You good.
One thing I'm loving about this conversation, and one thing I loved about it last night, I love what Pastor Gary Holland just put it. He said, yep, we don't have to agree to a party. We have to agree on advancing our people together. That's exactly what I'm leading to. Yeah. Anybody who is not from our community, but has lumped us all into one train of thought,
Hey, I was talking about that with somebody, not to cut off, but I was saying that right there, like when they try to make black people a monolithic group, that trying to say that we all supposed to think one way, to me, that's the most racist thing you can ever do. You feel what I'm saying?
Because even if you're black.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Why is it that white people are allowed to be Democrats and Republicans? Chinese people, Asian people and Latino people are able to be Democrats or Republicans. But if I'm black, I can only be a Democrat. Why is that? To me, that's the most racist thing in the world. And that's why, you know, when Joe Biden even said what he said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, wait, what? Like, you know what I'm saying? But back to, you know what I'm saying, what the pastor was just saying in the comment, it ain't about the politics. It's about what actually advances us as a people. What I feel advances us as a people is getting back to our economic independence, getting back to our village. You feel what I'm saying? And getting back to that mind frame where we don't need anybody. We don't need that no more. You know what I'm saying? I was listening to Candace Owens speech yesterday. Don't get me wrong, I don't like everything Candace Owens say at all. You know what I'm saying? Some of the things she say, I'll be like, dang, she got a point. But when I was listening to it, and then I went back and listened to an old Louis Farrakhan speech, they saying the exact same thing. You feel what I'm saying? And people don't even realize that, because I didn't realize it till just then. When we start talking about when were black people getting the best education, you know when that was? Before segregation. You know what I'm saying? Before segregation. Do you know when black people had the most money? Before y'all started letting us move into white communities, when it was just us in our own community. You know what I'm saying?
I want to say something real quick.
Go ahead.
This is why I can't mess with the parties, because our thoughts come from a partisan mindset when we just proved it. The three of us are all saying the same thing, but the three of us have a little different approach, right? We trying to get to the same place.
Right.
I don't have a problem with Republicans per se. I don't have a problem with Democrats per se. I got a problem with policies that hurt us, and I don't care what party it comes from.
Right.
And I'm not going to give a politician the benefit of the doubt because they belong to this party or that party. It is what it is. Right. Okay? Dogs bark, and it don't matter whether it's a Saint Bernard or a poodle. Right? It's the nature of the dog. Right.
I remember one time, man. One time I didn't vote, and it was a lady come out the store. older lady, black lady. She said, son, did you vote? I said, nah. She said, why didn't you vote? I said, because neither one of the parties, the candidates, represented anything that I embodied. She said, well, you know how many of your ancestors died for you to have the right to vote? I said, well, no, they didn't die for me to have the right to vote. They died for me to have proper representation. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I felt. And at that time, it was a Democrat and a Republican. Neither one of them represented me. And I'm like, okay, I can't give you my vote, because if I give you my vote, that's like me giving you my signature and say I approve. So I didn't do it. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the mindsets that we got to get out of. You got to listen to the candidates and see what represents you. And a lot of times when you voting on what's going to affect you financially. So if this part is going to affect you financially in a better way, you tend to vote that way. And I can understand that, and I can respect that. My only problem is the racial guidelines, the racial problems that we have within both parties. You know what I'm saying? It's not just one. What comes about is, if you're a Democrat, right, you're going to focus on all the racist stuff that the Republican Party do. If you're a Republican, you want to focus on all the racial stuff or whatever that the Democratic Party do. But you're both doing the same thing. So like we say, until we get somebody there to properly represent us, we're going to keep having this problem. We're going to keep having to have these conversations. And what are we going to do after we had this conversation, like David said last night? Now, it was a great conversation we had. Yeah. Now it's time to get to work. That was the message he sent me. That was the message he sent me after all of it. He said, we had a great conversation, but now it's time to get to work. So when you see David and you see me, you don't know if we're a Democrat or Republican. You don't know.
Because y'all about to work.
We gonna get that
about to work.
So here's a question from Pastor Holland. Question, fellas. Why can't we get on the same page? Why can't we come together and make real change? And I want to take first stab at it. I think that the question has two answers. Number one, actually, we're together right now making change. Right. What I witnessed last night with your group was change. What I'm witnessing now is change. You two guys are political polar opposites when it comes to your approach to the political, ideologies. But you walk in lockstep when it comes to, we're going to be in these streets and we're going to get these youngsters involved in the process, where they choose red or blue. I mean, Republican and Democrat. I ain't talking about Crips and Bloods. But that's on them. I ain't got nothing to do with that. I want to bring them to the table and give them information and give them the freedom to vote the way they want to vote. But in the meantime, no matter who has the seat, that somebody said this other night when I was in one of these talks, said no matter who got the seat, the people got the power, and we need to understand that. Yep. That's what we need. So in that part, Pastor Holland, I think we do walk in lockstep. I think what Pastor Holland is talking about, why can't we get on one page? I think it's the political thing. Right. And there are some problems in our community when you talk about gun violence. Man, if you get some black conservatives and some black liberals on this panel tonight, it'll be fireworks, because you're going to see a total polar opposite approach to the problem. But see, for me, I think the political party is the reason why they come so strong, because them same ones that get on camera and have the argument, you get them off camera. Man, they can sit down, they can be cool, they can be calm, and they can work something out. But when the cameras get back on, I got to stand up for the Dems, I got to stand up for Republicans, and that's the issue. And I'm gonna let y'all have the microphone.
And that's the sad part about it is, even what I'm saying, I've seen it. Like, I go to some of these, Republican conventions, and it be other black people there. And some of them cool. Like, I'd be cool, lockstep with them. Like, we on the same page. And you got the other ones that are so hard trying to appease the white people that's there, that they really be coons. You feel what I'm saying? They really be real coons. You be like, what the world? And I seen it a lot too. And the reason is because they got more loyalty to their party than they do to their actual people. The question Pastor
Nah, bro. Back up and say that one more time.
They got more loyalty to the party than they do to the people.
Pause for a minute. I'm gonna get right back to you. And that's on both sides.
Both sides.
That's the problem. So, Mr. Holland, that's your answer. Go ahead, bro. Sorry about that.
All right. So when we start thinking about our people, you know what I mean? Put the parties aside. You can take the parties out of the equation at all. Start thinking about the people. What happens is we have two approaches, and one is, well, you know what I'm saying? They get caught up in who to blame for causing the problems rather than how do we fix and approach fixing the problems. You know, that's why I always call myself solution based. You get into a lot of conversations with people and they want to sit there and talk about the problem and who caused the problem and why the problem is here. And we'll be talking about problems for years and years and years and years and years, but ain't nobody want to sit there and talk about what the solution is to the problem. They either want to blame the system or they want to blame the people. You know what I mean? They either want to say, yo, the man did this to us, or they either want to say, yo, y'all need to stop doing this to yourself. And sometimes when you try to hold a mirror up to somebody and say, look at yourself. Look at what you're doing. They don't like that. You know what I mean? They don't like that. But I feel like it's the approach and the way you do it. I'm a conservative, so my views is always on what can we do to better ourselves. Forget them. We don't need nobody outside of us. You know what I mean? That's my conservative side. You know what I mean? As far as I go when it comes to, you know what I'm saying, being a Republican. Self-sufficiency. So I always tell my people, instead of us sitting here talking about what the man did, you know what I'm saying, what the man doing it, why you saying you oppressed, I always tell that same story in my life. I was a young black man being escorted into a courtroom by a black deputy to stand right beside my black lawyer, being sentenced by a black judge. That's 4 different men in 4 different levels of life. And why am I the only one in here talking about is the man holding me down? If there was a man holding me down, then all 4 of us would have been held down. You know what I'm saying? If we're going to keep saying that the man is oppressing us, then why don't we have black billionaires? Because the man would have oppressed them. You feel what I'm saying? So we need to stop using the excuses or using those things as an excuse when what we really need to do is say, forget the man. Let's focus on us. You know what I'm saying? Let's focus on what we need to do and how we can do it in this community right here. What you said, you need a bank. The bank is oppressing you with your money. Yo, let's start our own bank. You know what I'm saying? You say the police is oppressing you. Yo, let's start our own police. You know what I'm saying? Like Brother Tracy said yesterday, we can't get our kids in sports. We can't get them signed up for football. Let's start our own league. That's conservatism in its purest form. Now, you get far when you go from Lincoln conservatives to Donald Trump conservatives, but the original radical Republicans, which is what my shirt said last night, the radical Republicans, which were the first black elected Republicans, you know what I mean, in South Carolina, they stood up and separated themselves from the racist white Republicans, and they came in and they passed the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. They gave us our rights to vote. They gave us our rights of citizenship, and it made us more than 3/5 of a human being. Black Republicans did that. The radical Republicans did that. I encourage anybody to read and look up the radical Republicans. You know what I'm saying? And all that they did battling against Andrew Johnson after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. But what they always taught was self-sufficiency. Those same black schools that got integrated in the 60s, you know that those black schools were created by black Republicans saying, look, they won't let us in their school. Let's start our own schools. You feel what I'm saying? The problem came in when they started trying to fix everything. You know, we so badly trying to get into their schools, not realizing what we got. You know what I'm saying? That we looked at it like it was a bad thing that we couldn't go to their schools. No, it was a good thing we couldn't go to their schools. You know what I'm saying?
I think that there's a dual thing going on here, because you're totally right, in my opinion anyway, when it comes to we have to be self-sufficient, but we also have to be honest about American history. And American history is the system was not built for us.
True.
And we always had to fight our way into a place where we could have influence. And everywhere we had success, this government did everything they could to snatch it from us. That is the truth.
Yes.
So I think we have to be honest about the truth. And listen, I can say that with the American flag draped around me because I love this country, but I don't worship it. That flag is not my God. God is my God.
Fact.
And I think that's where, so we put party before people. We put country before people. We put a whole bunch of things before we put the people. But we, the people, are now starting to understand how much power we really have. And when we the people stand up and let the politicians know that you don't run it, no, we elected you and you represent us. And once again, if we can't change your mind, elected officials, we will change your seat.
Change your seat.
That's right. All right, then, Mr. Parker, you looking like you got something to say.
No, I like to piggyback off of some of what Dave said, but when you think about the work system, right, and you think about that man that gives you your check when you go to work, you work for him, right? So you go to his place of business where he owns, and you go and you do the job that he asks you to do, and he pay you for that job. That's the same system that we need in our so-called politics. They work for us. So they need to do what we need them to do. But I think the biggest problem, and we can say it's politics, whatever, I think the biggest problem is the fight with spirituality. You know what I'm saying? I think that you have a right to worship who you want to worship, believe who you want to believe, because that's the type of God that we have. You know what I'm saying? And I know that he wants more for us, but he allows you to make your own choices. And I know a lot of people who don't want to believe in God because they want to make their own choices, and they blame God when the results come from their choices. You know what I'm saying? Then you want to blame God. But no, he's a freedom God. You know what I mean? He gives you the opportunity. He knows the outcome either way. And the thing about it is, he's there at the end when you make that mistake, and then when you realize that you made a mistake, and then you got to come to me. But he's not a God that sit up there going to throw it in your face. He can welcome you with open arms, just like a father does to his kids. You know what I mean? I think that if I want to hear a politician, I want to hear your spiritual beliefs as well. You know what I'm saying? Because that got to line up with me too. Not even just what you can do for me financially, because like David said, if you self-sufficient, I can have a garden in my backyard. I don't need your food.
That's right.
You know what I mean? I can have a garden in the back. I don't need your food. You know what I mean? You got homeschooling now. I can teach my own kids.
Yep.
And what I can't teach them, you know what? If we embody that village atmosphere like we should, and that we got away from, my neighbor right here, he can teach you or she can teach you everything that I can't teach you. Amen. I think one of the biggest problem is that we're in a mindset now that you can't say anything to my kid, whether my kid is right or wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not understanding how much that's going to hurt them in the future. And then next thing you know, when you go out there and start doing anything wrong and the felony hits your record, then you can't vote. Mm-hmm. Right? You can't vote. So now you're going to sit up here and complain about everything that's going on in your community, but you lost your right to change it through the political system. You know what I mean? But you darn sure you never lost the right to change it through the spiritual system. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to say I'm a very religious person. I'm a spiritual person. Because religion, to me, it tells you to act one way.
Right.
God never made us. He didn't make us the same. So why do we all got to act one way?
Right.
You know what I mean? And that falls back into policy, because laws were really based off spiritual. You know what I'm saying? It was supposed to be based off the Bible. But we somehow got away from that. You know what I mean? Because everybody had separate agendas and everything, and all the other crap that go along with it, as I was saying, the nice way to say it. You know what I mean? But like I was saying before, you know, you got to represent me. You know what I'm saying? And to the point, what has changed? What have changed? Like we said before, people are pissed off.
Yes, sir.
That's what has changed.
Righteous indignation.
Yes. And that's what has changed. People has been pissed off, and now the person who you think the most be like, oh no, that person, oh, he got his pants sagging, whatever. That man don't know. That's the one who know. And that's the one that's going to hold you accountable. I was listening to David last night, and David said he don't have a problem saying. He said he was a violent felon. And he got his right not only to vote, but he got a right to bear arms back.
His civil rights had been restored. That's what
Yeah,
they call it. And what your
yeah,
document said, your civil rights have been restored.
That's right. That's exactly what my documents say.
yeah.
That's right.
And like, and I think that I look at a business. I threw an event last year called Autism Crush Festival, and what I did was we was bringing awareness to autism, but what we were doing is I felt like we can take everybody's interest, put it into one event, and we can get everybody out there, and then we can have different things happen, and we can educate differently. And this brung the ability to sign up and work on getting your voters right back. Now, how that plays with autism, it doesn't, but it played to the moment that was needed. You know what I mean? It played to the moment that was needed. And like I said, I'm not a big old rah type dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm not yeah, I do talk. You know what I'm saying? But I'm more of a solution type person. Like
Yeah.
David said, I don't want to sit up here and keep talking about why this happened. Let's talk about
What
how
we're
it can
gonna do.
stop.
How we
Yeah,
gonna
and
fix it?
that's my thing. And I believe that, you know what I'm saying, once everybody really get in touch with their spirituality, a lot of this stuff will seem small enough that everybody can attack it. You won't be scared of, because right now it's big to some people and they're
Yeah.
afraid of it.
If
They're
you
Y'all know
look
afraid of
what?
it.
at
Go ahead, sir.
no, if you look at the things that made black people in this country great when we were great, it was the three main things that we kept first. You know what I mean? We kept God, family, and finances. You know
Right.
what I mean? Our grandparents, I don't care how old you are, your grandparents, my grandparents, and great grandparents, they was the type of people that got married and stayed married for 50, 60 years. You know what
That's
I'm
right.
saying? 50, 60 years. And you know what they did every Sunday? All our grand,
Went to church.
yours too, and mine.
And they
That's the
took us with
thing.
them.
And they took us with them whether we wanted to go or didn't want to go. It
That's
wasn't
right.
no option. The kids didn't have the power to decide whether or not you was going to church. You didn't. Some of us didn't even have the power to decide what we was going to wear.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
I used to wake up in the morning. My grandma had my suit laid on the couch. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
All
You
I had to
better
do
put
was
it on.
all I had to do is put it on. And what's happening right now is we're giving the children so much power because one, a lot of times parents are working 2 or 3 jobs and father's not in the house right now. So the child wakes up and decide what they gonna eat, what they gonna wear, where they gonna go, who they gonna talk to. They have too much power. But the greatest thing about our ancestors or the people that were before us is they had God, family, and finances first.
Finances.
You know, granddaddy went to work. I don't know about y'all because I don't know y'all grandparents personally, but my granddaddy, he went to work. I'm talking about more than 40 hours a week. And when he got his paycheck, he came home and set it on the dresser right there for my grandma.
That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying? Right now, a lot of people don't even do that. You know what I'm saying? Is I got my money, you got your money. Look, how much you need for this bill? All right, I give you 100 to it. We losing control of the things that made us great. You know what I'm saying? And we don't need to talk about who doing it, because I can say, you know, who I think is taking religion out of the country and who I can say promoting homosexuality and all that stuff, but I won't get into that part of the politics. I'm gonna get into the solution. What
That'd be
we
another
can do,
conversation.
that's another conversation. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole another conversation. But if we get into the solution to me would be parents analyzing and examining themselves. You know, we need to analyze and examine ourselves, realize how do we get our family structure back, and then start forcing these kids to have some type of structure and discipline on what to do. And it don't matter what your religion is, because I know that, you know, in 2020, people got different spiritualities and religions and things like that. You know, whatever it is, I think they all boil down to the same thing: love, peace, and being good to others. You know what I'm saying? No matter what your religion is, that's what they boil down to. So
That's right.
we need to get back to teaching that, because our children go off of what we tell them, what we saying. If I'm riding down the street and I got my kids in the back of my car and I see Brother Tracy standing on the corner out there, like, I don't even like his red shirt, man. You know, my kids heard that. You feel what I'm saying? So
Right.
when they go back to school the next day and they see they other kids, man, I don't like your shirt, man. They think that's cool. We're giving off that energy to them. We're teaching them without teaching them that that's the way to be to our neighbors. Not love our neighbors, but if they see me, if I pull up on the street and I see Brother Tracy out there and I stop, like, oh man, I ain't seen that brother in a while. Let me get out my car, get that brother a hug, man. How you doing, man? How your family doing, man? That's my kids learning how to interact with others and how to be great people. You know what I'm saying? So we need to get back to what made us great. Think about what made us great as a people and get back to that. And our men need to be strong on that, regardless, because we even got to buck against our women sometimes. Because our women are so loving and caring and nurturing that they want everything to be harmonized and peaceful. Baby, leave that baby alone. He ain't doing nothing. Yes, he is. You know what I'm saying? You stay out of this, woman. Let me correct my son. You know what I'm saying? we gotta get back to that. You know what I'm saying? We gotta get back to that. I remember once I thought my mama was about to save me from a butt whooping from my dad. You know what I'm saying? She came in the room. Don't beat that boy. He all right. And I was like, oh man, I'm about to get away from this. I'm about to get out of this. Man, he looked at her. He like, you want me to hit you with this belt? And she left right out the room. she left right out the room and let
Pop wasn't playing.
You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. We got to start playing our roles, getting back to our roles and understanding what it was that made us great, and then getting back to that community element and promoting that village again. Because that's the only way we can do it.
I think we're right. Hey, gentlemen, we have become the elders.
Yeah.
Our parents' generation, they at a point now where they're advising us, but we have become the elders to the young folks on the streets. Listen, we had an hour. That's right. That's right. Don't worry. Look, you stop coloring yours and see what happens. But listen, man, we had an hour and 16 minutes. I want to start wrapping it up. I thank you two young men for coming on to Carl's Conversations tonight. Our motto here is a safe place to have difficult conversations. And I will say there were parts of this conversation tonight that were not very comfortable, but there's going to be some uncomfortable moments as our community, the Black community, works through the various issues that we have. And I'm going to say this to my audience, and I've said it before. Part of the reason why I do this show and why I deal with the topics that I deal with is because I get so sick and tired of those outside of the community speaking as one having authority, and you really don't know. But if you keep watching Carl's Conversations, you just keep watching, you're going to find out so much about our community, the struggles, the victories, the beauty, the diversity, and you'll come away with a better understanding. And all that get an understanding. So before we get out of here, fellas, I just want to know, is there anything that you wanted to address the audience with real quick, or anything that you want to promote real quick before we get out of here?
Well, my name on Facebook is David Wilson. I don't know if people know this or understand or have heard before, but I'm actually running for delegate in Newport News in the 94th district right now. Looking for all the support I can get. I got big support down here, a lot of support in these streets. But you can never have too much support. I'm running for delegate against Shelly Simons, a white woman in my district. I really feel like we could win this thing, or we're going to win this thing. My Instagram is I think it's David for Delegate, or David Wilson for Delegate. It's either David for Delegate or David Wilson for Delegate. Look me up. My name David Wilson. And on Facebook is David Wilson, and my group on Facebook is called Us For Us. That's us, the number 4, and us. And I try to promote self-sufficiency. That's why it's called Us For Us, not them for us, because I don't feel like they ever been for us, and it's gonna take us to fix us. So I'm out here looking for all the help we can get, man. So peace. And you do got a new viewer too, because I'm gonna be watching Carl's Conversation.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. I appreciate it, sir. All right, there. What you got for us, Mr. Parker?
Like David said, my name is Tracy Parker. I'm the co-founder of the Friendship Lottery with my daughter Noelle Parker. She's 14 years old, about to turn 15 in November. I just ask that y'all follow us on Facebook, the Friendship Lottery group. We on Instagram, we on Twitter, and I just want y'all to really pay attention to what we do. We bring a lot of knowledge and info and awareness to like different situations that go on within our community. And we believe in bringing the village back. We believe in bringing them back through blessings, through understanding and appreciation. Just try to follow us, because we you never know what we'll do next, because we operate outside the box. We might be talking about autism. We'll never stop talking about it. We might be talking about domestic violence. We'll never stop talking about it. We might be talking about gun violence. We'll never stop talking about it. We'll never stop being advocates for those. But you never know. And one thing I always want to say is, don't wait until it hits your doorstep for you to get active. Get it before it gets to your doorstep. And guess what? It won't get to your doorstep. And because you're so active, it won't go to your neighbor's doorstep. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you so much. Hey, listen, this is not the last time we're going to have these two brothers here. And there are some other people who wanted on tonight. We just couldn't get them on tonight. Miss Abyss with Abu Unity. And I believe it was Miss Veronica with KB Athletics. Am I right?
Yeah, I think she watched.
So, yeah, she is. I saw her earlier. She said, I'm here supporting. So Miss Veronica and Miss Abyss, thank you for your support. And this is not the first time, not the last time that we're going to have Mr. Parker, Mr. Wilson on. I would love to have all four of you on. But if we can't get it together, we got enough to maybe next time we do the ladies. And then we'll come back together as a group. So listen, if you have not already liked my personal Facebook page and liked and followed, you can do that. Carl's Conversation has a Facebook page. You can become a friend. And Carl's Conversations also has a YouTube channel. Today would be a good day to subscribe so you can follow me and see what's going on. Carl's Conversations is a safe place to have difficult conversations. Until next time, we say good evening. May God bless you and may heaven smile upon you. Until next time, bye-bye.